welcome to our elementary lesson again this week. Again, if you haven't watched the Lifeway lesson, pause. You can click the link below me and listen to our lesson video, print off our activity sheet and our family conversation guide, and then come back up and we can talk about what we just watched. So I'll pause. Okay, now that you're back, you know that we're going to talk about Abram this week. So we get to talk about a family and how they packed up to travel to a new land, and we get to talk about God's plan for families. So last week we learned about how God created people, and He created them to have a relationship with Him and with others, and we also learned about families. And so this week we get to talk more about families and how God has a plan for our families. His plan is for us to love each other, respect each other, and help one another. And so in our story, we get to talk about how Abram chose to follow God's plan for his family when he showed love and respect for Lot. And so let me share some pictures as we go through our story. They're again from my Action Bible. Okay, so here we are in Genesis 13, and it's all about how Abram was traveling from Egypt with his wife and his nephew Lot. Abram was a rich man. He had many animals, lots of silver and gold, and worshiped God. And we learn that Abram's nephew Lot was also rich, and he had many animals and tents. And so together they had so many animals, there wasn't enough grass for all of them. The men who took care of Lot's animals began to argue with the men who took care of Abram's animals. So we see here from the Action Bible, it says, make room for Lot's sheep. And they said, no, Abram is the chief. His flocks come first. And so we see how these two groups started to argue. And Abram, wanting to follow God's plan for families, went and talked to Lot and said, let's not quarrel or argue between us. Look at the whole land. We can choose. You can choose your part, any part you want, and I'll take the other part. So here from the Action Bible, it says, families should never quarrel over possessions. Look, God's promised land is huge. Choose which part of it you would like to live in, and I will take what is left. And then Lot says, that's very generous of you, Uncle Abram. I'll take the valley near the city of Sodom. And so we see that Abram's and Lot's herdsmen began to quarrel. Abram chose to follow God's plan for families and treat Lot with respect and love. And give him a choice of the land first. And so that story gives us such a great example by Abram of how to choose to resolve and honor God when there's conflict in our family. And he gave his nephew the opportunity to choose new land for him and his family first. So you might be thinking, so how does that relate to me now? I'm not a herdsman. I don't have a lot of animals. I'm not traveling from Egypt. But we have every day, we have choices that we can make in our families where we can choose to honor God's plan and treat each other with love, kindness, and respect. And many choices we have throughout the day, whether it's who's going to get a turn first on the swing, or what board game are we going to play tonight, or what show should we watch on TV. When your mom or dad asks you to do a chore, you can choose to treat each other in your family by showing them respect and honor and love and kindness when you do those choices. And so I have a couple of friends who I asked about some pretend choices, and they are going to decide if it was a good choice or a poor choice. And if it was a poor choice, what maybe that friend could have done instead. So I'm going to read the question, and then you guys can think about it too in your house and see if it was a good choice or bad choice. And then maybe you guys could come up with your own answers about what would be a better choice that they could make that would show kindness and love to the person in their family. Okay, here's our first one. Sam was watching his favorite TV show, and his mom told him to feed the dog. Sam asked his mom if he could wait until the show was over. When she said he must do it now, Sam pretended not to hear her. So what do you think? You can pause before you hear our answer and talk about it with the people who are watching your lesson with you. If Sam made a good choice or a poor choice, and what maybe he could have done differently. Okay, let's hear our answer. Ready?
It was a bad choice. He should listen to his mom as soon as she asked him.
Oh, thanks, guys. That was a great answer. It was a poor choice, and a great option would be to listen and obey the first time his mom asked him to feed the dog. So great answer, guys. Okay, here's our next one. Kayla's grandmother was coming to visit. She would stay in Kayla's room. Kayla would sleep on a cot in her brother's room. Kayla said, "Why does Gran need to sleep in my room? Let her sleep on the cot in Kenny's room." Okay, what do you think? Good or bad choice? So you can pause before you hear the answer and talk about it with the people around you, and then hit play to hear an answer from one of our friends from church.
Kayla, that was a bad choice. You could have said, "Grandma, I would love for you to sleep in my room where it is more comfortable and me sleep in my brother's room on the cot."
Okay, great answer. That was such great ideas on how Kayla could have made a better choice. All right, we have Susan. Susan saw her little sister sneaking into her room. So Susan banged the door with a loud crash, and her little sister jumped and started crying as she ran out of her room. Did Susan make a good choice or a bad choice? And then what could she have done differently? So again, you can pause it, talk about it with the people around you before you hear the answer from one of our friends from church. Okay, we ready?
It was a bad choice.
Because, yes, it was a bad choice, Layden, because she should have said, can you please get out of my room? I want some quiet time right now.
Great answer, guys. Yes, that was a bad choice. Poor Susan. So it would much better choice, great idea, was to use your words and ask her kindly to maybe give you a little space or come back another time. But yeah, definitely not trying to scare her. Okay, great job, guys. Thanks for helping me out and giving me such great answers. Okay, on to our verse for the week. We have our verse this week from Romans 12:18, and it says, "If possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone." So this is such a great reminder for our lesson for the week. And here is a coloring page that you could do. It's in our newsletter. You can click on it and print it right out. You can color it and post it in your room or up on your bathroom mirror or maybe in the kitchen, and it could be such a visual reminder as you go throughout the week to see about living at peace with everyone. And so making choices to show the people in your family respect and love and kindness, just like Abram as he followed God's plan for families. Okay, so I wanted to end with one more discussion question that you guys could do as a family with the people who are watching the video with you right now. Pause the video, you guys can discuss as a group, and then come back. So the question I want you guys to discuss is, how can we this week show love and respect to the people in our families and the people that we might encounter throughout the week? So pause the video, discuss that question all together, and then come on back. Okay, great. I'm glad you're back. I hope you guys had great discussions with the people around you. This is the end of our lesson for this week. Thanks so much for participating, and I can't wait to see you again next week, and I hope you guys have a great week. Bye.